Alright, today I'm going to make a video about an order that didn't get here, and I'll explain all the different things. I made a quick little note about that in one of the last videos. I'm not sure if I had recorded that yet or not. I have the fan on here because I got overheated and I got a little queasy, so if the fan bothers you, I'm sorry about that. But my Pokemon collection, the cards from TCG Player were basically refunded and canceled, and I didn't get the order due to supposedly the seller got my order back. It says not deliverable as addressed, so I don't know if they did something on their end. It was an untracked order, so I can't know if I made a mistake in the ordering process or they made a mistake somewhere. So I don't know what happened there. Unfortunately, that's what's going on. And so it's just like the problem that I've had numerous times before. I had a Star Wars order many years ago. I wasn't able to order it. Then I tried to go order it, and then it was already sold. And so that ship has sailed. And I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on cards that were basically costing me a total of $16. Then I didn't think it was even less than that, but it was something $16 including shipping. So I'd be almost $100 to $200 for those cards now, because Star Wars numbered cards have shot through the cannon, after certain worldwide events. But Star Wars is tanking now, so maybe they are coming back because Star Wars has been ruined by Disney Plus. They've basically destroyed the franchise. But anyway, and then there were some UFC cards that were being shipped by Two Bros, which no longer exist as far as I care. And there was some really bad weather, and it got lost somewhere in between here and Michigan or wherever they were out of. So that was very frustrating. But I was full intent on building those sets, and now I said, you know what, I got to go a different direction. And I went completely 180s from that. I don't collect Star Wars hardly at all. Every once in a while I'll pick up one or two cards. If Justin shows off a bunch of autographed Star Wars cards, I'll go look and pick off one that was $5, and that'll be the end of it. And I won't do any more Star Wars. I did a box of Star Wars blaster box, and I hated every moment of it. And I said, this is not great. These cards are not great looking. I don't like the shine on it. They just look like they're the, mass-produced garbage. And I said, I don't want any more of this. There were so many inserts in there, you can't even fathom to build a complete base set. It's ridiculous. So let's get to the Pokemon cards here, and I'll give you some data on this. There was the binder I started to create. I did a terrible job of that one there, and I threw this in the back there. I don't know where that came from, some Pokemon game or cereal or something like that. Really don't remember. And I don't have anything for the front there. And of course, I did not want to put all my eggs in one basket, but after looking at all the eBay sellers, I decided to do the TCG Player. And I'll show you the two cards that I picked up here from eBay, Nemona and Shauna. That was $6. If I had gotten them on TCG Player, it would have been not quite half, but it would have been, $1 or two less. But again, so my $12.50 order from TCG Player looks like it would cost me $30 to $35 on eBay. Trying to track down each card. One of the cards is not even available, and it was 9. So that, I was getting 7 cards for $12.50, which I thought was great. And then I checked COMC, and they had a few cards there. COMC is really just chapping my hide. It just grinding my gears right now, because they're back to their slow shipping times. They basically said, hey, we'll start doing grading. Instead of doing grading, folks, you should have basically focused on your customers that are waiting for their freaking cards here, because I've got baseball players that are passing away. I've got other things, and I don't have the ability to buy TTM fuel here. I have virtually no TTM fuel I can purchase here. I picked up some Mariner cards at the Goodwill bins, and they're all going in the garbage. I'm going to just fold these in half right now, because these guys do not sign. But how do I know that? They cost me virtually little, and I didn't need those Mariners cards. And second of all, they were not mint, so that saves me some time and effort and TTM postage. They haven't signed in 5 years. And it's crazy how many people have stopped signing, but that's not the video point. But COMC, we just got people that are basically just sticking the middle finger up there and saying, guess what, I see a card on eBay for $6, how about $50? And I was like, that's a big gut punch there, because I thought, well, maybe I'll just order all my cards through COMC. I want to do my Pokemon cards from all one vendor and not like hundreds of different vendors and having to wait for little eBay, standard envelopes coming through all over the corners of the globe, and then waiting for this Pokemon and that Pokemon. I wanted to make one video and be done with it, and that ain't gonna happen. It just ain't gonna happen. And I still can't find my missing. I've got some trainers that I was saving. Those are the only cards that I had I was saving. And then the only cards that are in this binder here were just random cards that got left behind. In fact, I thought I found another Pokemon at the bins today, but I can't find that card. It's missing. So I either left it or threw it back, or I've lost it already. No idea. But the cards that I was buying were Cassiopeia. Look up the Cassiopeia full art card on COMC. It's the really common one and not the rare one, so somebody might have gotten mixed them up there and thought they had the rare one. But they want $50.24 for that one. The card that I cannot get on oh geez, I just ruined one of my lists there. Lovely. I gotta do that one all over. That's crazy. Well, I'm glad that was only a COMC list. That's what happens when you leave your dinner plate on the table here. I cleared off my kitchen table so I could eat there, but yeah, I basically... and here's my Pokemon list here, and all the different things there, so I'm gonna have to throw that away too. So I'm gonna basically take that out of there and redo all that. So thankfully I didn't ruin anything great there. But yeah, my Pokemon list got grease all over it here. And I don't know if I'll ever order from TCG Player again. Somebody said, well, why don't you order from Sports Lots? And so I tried doing Sports Lots, and that didn't work. I filled everything like they told me to, and it crashed. And I said, well, I can't instill any confidence in me if you're going to crash in the upload process, or the join process. Didn't work for them. And there was nothing I did wrong. It was not because I didn't have a phone. It's not because I had this. It's not because I said, Oregon, Salem, Alaska, or something like that. It was nothing like that. Then people said, well, I'm getting really good deals on Whatnot on sports cards. So I tried joining Whatnot, and they had issues with it, and they couldn't get me registered in time for the auction that I wanted. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to join Whatnot because they were not very helpful. And they gave me some fixes and patches and stuff, and I said, forget that. Whatnot is basically a bunch of people that just put random stuff up there, and it's all feel-good stuff there. I want to be able to, that's why I like eBay so much, regardless of how much you hate it, because you can find exactly what you're looking for, and then you can choose to either buy it at auction and get outbid on it, or you can go and buy it for whatever price there, and you don't have to play some sort of, random cards are wonderful, but I want to buy cards that actually have purposes here. I don't want to just have cards for having cards' sake. That's why I put things in binders, so I can flip through the binders and enjoy them. I don't mind, maybe the odd, pack opening and random card thing, but random cards do not do it for me. It might do it for you. But again, so I've got three things here. Pokemon has basically crashed before it started. The UFC crashed before it started, and the Star Wars crashed before it started. They didn't crash before, they crashed while they were starting, because I was actively purchasing those cards, going to add that to my collection. And I'm still waiting for my record from Discogs. And they say it's shipped, so I'm gonna look and see if I can find some tracking here and see what's happening with it. The guy was very communicative is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so these were all the cards on my list, and these are all the cards on my list still. There was nothing that's been crossed off here. Nothing. So like I said, I try to do something out of the starting gate. Nothing worse than when your order crashes the first thing. Again, I'm sitting here a week into not knowing anything might be wrong. My order's supposed to be arriving here. And again, other people have, issues with these big websites here because they get shipped from different players and are different people and sort of thing. COMC, I liked it, but, again, I'm finding less and less on COMC that is fresh, new. I'm not finding anything. There are virtually no sales right now. Get this out of here. This was the card, I tried to show you this here earlier here, but this is the card I was looking for. Nimona there. I have a copy of that one, but I don't have the Korean version. And I lucked out and found the Korean version for a couple bucks. You know, not $9. And it's out of stock and there are no other ones. But what's crazy about Pokemon is you can find a card that's basically for $5. That's the value of it. But at the time you're looking, there's only copies that are graded for $30 and $35. I was like, why do I want a graded copy for $35 when it sells for $5 all day long? That's what I hate about, I really hate the hobby right now. I hate to say it here, but I really hate it. And I'm doing the best to provide people with moral support in the comments. But I'm really hating it right now. I couldn't even go to the one card show, you know, that I had planned on going to. When you don't go, you get salty if you haven't been to a card show since the year 2000. You know, and the last card show was not very great because I didn't find very much at that show. Plus, I lost my most expensive poster in my collection because my friend didn't watch it at his booth and he left it there at the table. It's right on his table. You know, I said, can I set this at your table? And he said, sure. But I forgot it, and then I said, if I forgot it, I would just go back to his store, you know, and get it. And he said, no, I never collected your poster. I left it, you know. And I was like, well, shoot. You know, so I looked up that poster. It was Michael Jordan and Spike Lee poster. People ask crazy amounts of money. Here, watch this. Jordan. Let's see if I can find that Michael Jordan Spike Lee poster. It wasn't mint by any means. I got it at a card shop that was closing here. So, let's see. There's no results for that Michael Jordan Spike Lee poster. Yeah, so this one here, this one's all wrinkled here, but this one is, they're asking $91 for this poster, if it's an original. Let's see if I can get to it here. Yeah, so I had this poster here. Mine was trimmed. Let me see if I can, because I think it was probably in a picture frame. Here, let's get zoomed in here. Come on. Why am I not zooming here? Okay. Here, let's go back here. Yeah, so even a beat-up copy of this Michael Jordan Spike Lee poster, look at it. It's all tore up here, rips, tears. So that's one of the cheaper posters. $100. So I essentially lost $100. So my very last card show I ever did, I lost a $100 poster. I mean, this is why I'm salty in some of these videos here. When your orders get canceled, when your Star Wars gets canceled, when your UFC gets canceled, set building is basically canceled. So sorry, you know, I'm the Charlie Brown of sports cards at times. And again, I just got grease just now all over my checklist. So I'm going to post this video when I get a chance here. I've got cards on the way tomorrow that have been shipped priority. I rarely ever do cards priority, but they were cheaper. Hopefully the cards are not as bad as the condition which I saw afterwards. So I'm hoping, and there's a lot of stuff in that lot. I got bonus items in that lot. But some of that stuff I'll have to throw away. But it was still cheaper than the next thing there. So, and it was a buy it now. And nobody wanted to buy it now because it had priority shipping. But again, it was cheaper than the people were asking free shipping. So figure that one out. Anyway, sorry I made a salty video here. But on the positive note, I found an old cigarette case at the Goodwill bin store with my initial on it. I'm not going to start smoking or anything. I think it's a cigarette case. It's got the script S on there. And it's a sterling silver. So amazing. Amazing. I mean, you put your little packet of whatever goes in there and close it all up, and I think that's what it was. Or, you know, some sort of, but really neat. It's like a hammered silver, sterling silver, and it's marked sterling on there. So, what a heck of a way to end the day to get a sterling silver piece. Hope everybody enjoyed that. Don't get frustrated in the hobby. Don't let the hobby get to you, as it has done to me, and thank you for watching.